Hi, this is Jason Nickleby, Coordinator of Officials with the Minnesota State High School League, and this is Football Officiating Training Tape number 6. Another good week last week. Again, really appreciative of your patience and flexibility as we work through changes and adjustments in schedules. And we're getting to the last week of games here and into the postseason, and hopefully we can have a good section tournament for most teams and officials and wrap up the season and look forward to next year. So we'll take a look at 8 plays this week. Again, not picking on any one crew, official, or team, just looking at plays and positioning mechanics, philosophy, and putting ourselves in the shoes of the official and try to make a decision, or how would we handle this play if we have that in our game. So with that, let's take a look at some plays. Okay, on this one, let's talk about reverse mechanics. Doesn't happen a ton, but good to know what everyone's doing and looking at. And you see here we have an interception return. Gets to the goal line, referee, excellent positioning, line of scrimmage comes up, and they box it in nicely, like how the referee sticks with the dead ball action. So this is excellent. This is very well done by the crew here. Couple things to consider. Remember, with Minnesota mechanics for this year, the umpire is in the offensive backfield as well, and they would likely be back to the goal line. So if we have a play like this one to the umpire's side, it's likely that the umpire would get back and box this in with the line of scrimmage official, and then referee, we would want you to clean up on backside blocks, late hits, unnecessary contact, and so on. Same thing if it went the other way. We would let the umpire do that and have the referee box it in with the line of scrimmage official. And then back judge and the opposite side wing also cleaning up backside. So this particular play with last year's mechanics, even this year, excellent. We box it in nicely, cover it well. We're waiting at the goal line when the intercepting player crosses the goal line. We watch the dead ball action, and we're not in too much of a hurry to get a different football. So this is very well done by the crew. Excellent reverse mechanics. Just something to touch base with your crew on and make sure you're on the same page and that you know who's going to be looking where and doing what on reverse mechanics. Again, doesn't happen very often, but is very well done on this particular play by the crew. Okay, on this play, we have a try down right before halftime here. We're in good initial position, and I just want you to take a look at this play and how it develops. What would you do? What are your mechanics, pre-snap routine, rules knowledge, philosophy, and so on. Really interesting play, tough play to officiate. So let's talk about the rules that pertain to this kind of play and our mechanics, and then how we get ready for these kind of plays. So first, prior to the game, make sure that we connect with the coaches and see if they'll let us know if they have any special plays, trick plays, unusual, so that we can try to talk them out of something if it's illegal, and B, that we'll be mentally prepared in case it were to happen. Now, many coaches are not interested in telling us about their special plays. So therefore, we just have to be ready for anything when it comes to plays like this. And special teams is a place where we will see unusual plays, trick plays, formations, shifts, and other kinds of maneuvers that may be illegal. And if we do run a trick play or a special formation or a special shift or something that's really unusual, then we need to be by the book from a rules perspective. If we're going to use numbering exceptions and have fakes or trick plays and so on, then they need to be by the book. So if we're going to be by the book, the first rule we need to take a look at is Rule 4-2-2, and that talks about when the ball becomes dead and the down is ended. When the runner goes out of bounds, is held so his forward progress is stopped, or allows any part of his person other than the hand or foot to touch the ground. Now, the exceptions to that are what we see here. So the exception says the ball remains live if, at the snap, a place kick holder with his knee on the ground or both knees with a teammate in kicking position catches or recovers the snap while his knees are on the ground and places the ball for a kick, or if he rises to advance, hand, kick, or pass. So that's the first exception. Second exception, the ball remains live if at the snap a place kick holder with his knees on the ground and with a teammate in kicking position rises and catches or recovers an errant snap and immediately returns to the ground and places the ball for a kick, or again rises to advance, hand, kick, or pass. Note that the ball would become dead if a place kick holder muffs the snap or fumbles and recovers after his knees have been off the ground, and he then touches the ground with anything other than the hand or foot while in possession. So, as you see here in this particular play, the holder rises immediately after gaining control to pass. So this is perfectly legal. Just because his knee was on the ground doesn't mean that he can't rise to pass. But if he takes several steps and then goes down to a knee, we would shut it down. Okay. Now the second piece we need to be aware of, and this needs to be part of our pre-snap routine when it comes to these kind of things, is numbering exceptions. And what we would be looking at for this would be Rule 725B, and we need to take a look at the exceptions. So on fourth down, exception 2, on fourth down or during a kick try, when A sets or shifts into a scrimmage kick formation, any A player numbered 1 to 49 or 80 to 99 may take the position of any A player numbered 50 to 79. A player in the game under this exception must assume an initial position on his line of scrimmage between the ends, and he remains ineligible as a receiver, a forward pass receiver, during that down unless the pass is touched by B. So, in this particular case, I believe that we're fine, but what we need to do, umpire in particular, but we probably could use help from referee, back judge. Let's pick up the numbering exceptions and let's know which numbers can't go out for a pass if we have a fake like we have here, trick play, or we just have a muff snap and now everyone's running for their lives, and we need to know if one of these particular players ends up catching the ball, then it's going to be a foul for illegal touching. So we need to know that in advance. Needs to be part of our pre-snap routine on every scrimmage kick. To pick up these players and know whether they're A, ineligible by number, or B, ineligible by position, and perhaps both. And when we're talking about establishing an initial position on the line of scrimmage between the ends, that means if they're going to be a numbering exception, they need to establish their position in between the ends, but subsequently one of the ends could shift. However, that player remains a numbering exception, and they would be ineligible for the remainder of the down, even though they have an eligible number, and B, they are in an eligible position. They are ineligible as a numbering exception for the remainder of that down. So we need to know those numbers in advance, find them, and then be ready to help and assist if one of them were to end up touching the pass. And finally, let's talk about our mechanics and how we handle these kinds of plays on tries, field goals. When we don't expect it, it's a trick play or it's a bad snap, and now we have a fire drill, then we need to know where we're going mechanically and position-wise to handle these plays. So let's talk about a try down first. So just like this, a one-point try, umpires, you're not going to step forward into the end zone, into the field of play. Just stay on the end line and officiate blocks from where you're at, because if you start moving forward, you're going to get in the way of the players. So let's not do that. Just stay on the end line. And then back judge, you're going to adjust and pick up blocks and eligible receivers just like we would on any kind of pass play. And then line of scrimmage, you're going to maintain the line of scrimmage, your position, just like a regular pass play at first. But then once we pick up that it is going to be a pass play, run, fake, that they're not going to put the ball back down, then we should move to the goal line like we would on a typical play inside the 5-yard line and then work backwards. So you'll work to the goal line, okay? And then on a play like this one, line of scrimmage, what I'd like you to do is you're stopped at the goal line, and this goes for any pass play, not just a fake. If we have a pass that threatens the back half of the end zone and our initial positioning is at the goal line, let's move down the sideline, parallel with the sideline, get to about 5 yards in, and then stop and help rule. And I think that would be really good positioning to take this particular play. And this is really, really tight, really tough play to make a judgment on. I think the kid ends up securing possession and control, 1 foot down, surviving the ground. We talked about process of the catch last week. I think he does that here, but I think if we move off the goal line, move parallel, I think we'd be in a really good spot to rule on this. So interesting play, takes in a lot of rules knowledge we just talked about, our mechanics, our positioning, philosophy, and just make sure we have all that because in play and ready to use, because we get in trouble on special teams. That's where all the goofy stuff happens, and if we're not ready for it, we're going to get caught off guard. So well done by the crew. I think they handled this play very, very well. Just a lot of things to consider in these plays. And so keep those in mind as a crew. Nicely done here. So this play is at the end of a championship game, and I just think is really an outstanding example of sportsmanship, and we don't see it enough in tough games that mean a lot to the participants. And this coach demonstrates true professionalism, sportsmanship, exactly what we want to see. And I know we can't shake hands and get close this year, but I just thought this needed to be showcased and promoted, that we do have a lot of good people out there in Minnesota, across the country, that are there for the right reasons, for the kids, for the athletes, the communities, and doing right by them, officials also. So just wanted to show this. I think it's a really great example of what we would like to all see in our games. We know it's not going to happen every time, but just a great example out there, and this coach should be commended. Okay, in this play, 1st and 15, minute 20 and running, second quarter, you see a backwards pass, then a forward pass completed to number 11, who's driven backwards. He reaches the line to gain. We're killing the clock for a first down. We have a flag back at the line of scrimmage, or near the line of scrimmage, for what appears to be 2 forward passes during the down. You see him punch forward, trying to get information from the linesman at the top of the screen about whether the first pass was forward or backward. They subsequently get information that the first pass was backwards, and then they pick up the flag, which is correctly done. So nice job by the linesman providing information to help out on this. We've talked about this rule before, 752C, which talks about 2 forward passes during the down is an illegal forward pass, but you can see here on the replay that it is backwards. Now, when we're talking about coverage and mechanics of this, you see the line judge punching forward at the bottom of the screen, which is fine if the primary side official punches forward or backward. Remember that the primary official for this is the offside line of scrimmage official. It doesn't mean that the play side official can't rule on this. It's just primary is that official who's opposite the way that the pass is going, because they have a pretty good look at this. And the linesman in this case, being the offside wing, is the one that provides information on this being backwards, and they get this correct. So mechanically, just slow ourselves down. If the covering official, were to punch, that's okay. We just don't want to have conflicting signals, and that could be a challenge if the ball does hit the ground. So just make sure we slow down, pick each other up. But I do like that we communicate, provide good information, so that we can make the correct decision. Finally, mechanically, at the end of the play, make sure we finish the play, okay? So even though we have a flag and we think that the play is coming back, we ultimately pick the flag up here, and if we don't officiate all the way to the end of the play here, and get the progress spot, then we could potentially be in trouble about where this play should be. So you see here on the screen that the line judge who has the flag, doesn't quite finish the play. He's killing it and then going back to the referee. We don't need to be in a hurry. Get to the progress spot, and then we can come back and report information to the referee. Now, I would expect the linesman at the top of the screen on a forward progress pass play like this, where they're getting driven backwards, to come to the forward progress spot, so that the line judge could come forward, can officiate from behind, clear the dead ball action, and then look across the field and get the spot from the linesman with cross field mechanics. And we would want to do all of this process nice and slow, pick up that spot, get the ball down, and then we can report what we have to the referee. So I like the communication about the backwards pass. We get that foul picked up, but just make sure that we continue to officiate so that if we end up picking up the flag, or we have some different information or a different foul that comes up, we at least have a spot of reference to work from. And it appears on the screen that the back judge and the umpire are there to assist with the spot, but we don't want to leave that in case, like we do here, we pick up the flag, then we don't know where it's going to be. So just make sure that we continue to officiate. Make sure we stick with our primary mechanics, and we should be in good shape. Okay, 3rd and 3 here. So line to gain, critical spot. Running back gets hit, driven back, ball comes out. Now there's a scramble for it, and we have ruled progress at the line of scrimmage, which I think is an excellent ruling. You'll see it's pretty tight here on the replay. He gets hit right about the 45-yard line, it looks like, gets driven back about half a yard to a yard, and then the ball comes out. And I'm all in favor of slow whistles, but we need to make sure that this is a progress spot at or around the 45-yard line, it appears. And don't give cheap turnovers. Don't allow this to play out and give this as a fumble. Progress is clearly stopped. He's driven back. Then the ball comes out, which means we should be shutting this down for progress, okay? Second thing, just make sure from a coverage piece that even though the play has been ruled dead for progress, make sure that we have eyes on this action. I mean, we have a block there by 54. Just make sure nothing is really too excessive. They can play it out like this, not a big deal. We shouldn't have a foul for unnecessary roughness, excessive contact. They're playing it out. They think the ball is still live. That's okay. Unless it rises to the level of a personal foul, let's stay away from it. But make sure that we get the progress spot here, which we do, and then make sure there isn't anything that's really excessive or unnecessary in this continuing action. If so, then we're going to have to get it. But if we have a physical presence by these players, by the referee in particular in this play, then I don't think we're going to have anything. So just something to be aware of. But we do a really nice job of making this a progress play, not giving them a cheap turnover. That part is excellent. The other thing to keep in mind is if we have progress and it's close to the line to gain, it's going to be tight. We should come in hard, blowing the whistle, selling the spot, that we have both progress and we have short of the line to gain, as we do in this case, or a first down, depending on what it might be. Or thirdly, we might have to put the ball down at our feet. We come all the way to the players, put the ball at our feet, because we might need a measurement possibly. Just a couple things to keep in mind, but I think this play is handled really well. Good judgment. This is a forward progress play that should be stopped, and it is by the line judge at the bottom of the screen. So this is excellent judgment, mechanics, and good coverage. Okay, we have a 2-point try here. So line of scrimmage, going to the goal line right away, but then we have a bad snap. Referee goes straight backwards. I like this mechanic. He dumps the ball just to get rid of it. calls it incomplete, referee rules on it. So perfectly fine, good coverage. I'm good with the mechanics that the crew exhibits here. The only thing I want to point out is all plays, we should just expect the play to go south, and that should be part of our repertoire, our planning, pre-snap routine, etc. To think about what would happen if there's a bad snap. What would happen if something goes wrong? We have a complete fire drill like we have here. How would I handle it? And just be ready for it. And we talked about that in an earlier tape, calling it situational baseball, knowing what you're going to do with the baseball before it's hit to you. Because once it's hit to you, it's too late. And this is a play that everyone in the field, the officials included, are going, uh-oh, what do we do with this? So just make sure that we talk ourselves through possible scenarios, pre-snap routine, counting the players, ineligibles, etc. Just thinking about what could happen and what we would do with it. Because remember, we could potentially have intentional grounding here on this play. And maybe it is technically by the book. I'm fine with not having it, but just if we have intentional grounding, maybe we have another foul, and then we might have to do something different. So just make sure we play these things out. We're ready for anything that comes our way. We don't need to nitpick, but just be ready for unusual situations like this, because in this particular play, the referee is going to be on his own. So just think this through, all the possible scenarios, and we should be in good shape. But good coverage on this play by the crew. Okay, on this play, we're going to take a look at the actions of the left guard. And he's going to grab a hold of the leg and not let go of the defensive player, and is properly called for offensive holding by the umpire. So nice job of picking this up. We have a good announcement by the referee.
Your offense down.
Holding. Yep. Offense number 64. 10-yard penalty, second down.
So mechanically, it would still be the same this year with our umpire in the offensive backfield picking up the action by the left guard. Last year, guard, center guard still would be picking this up at the point of attack. So remember, we talked about with offensive holding, we're looking for a couple of things. We're looking for hook and restrict, grab and restrict, takedown. This is an obvious grab and restrict. It needs to be at the point of attack, needs to take something away, material restriction from the person being blocked. Obviously, having a hold of their leg and not letting them get away to try to make a play would qualify for a material restriction, material effect on the player being blocked. So we have a category, so grab and restrict, we have point of attack, and we have material restriction. This is a solid call for offensive holding and one we would want called. This is excellent vision and mechanics by the umpire. Okay, 4th and goal here. Lots to think about. Pre-snap routine, getting to the goal line, those kinds of things. Then we have defensive players that appear to move into the neutral zone. So we have a dead ball foul for encroachment, half the distance to the goal, and we're going to have 4th down. Now that all seems fine, and I'm good with how we handled it mechanically and communication. Referee, you don't have to walk quite as far. You can just take a couple steps, clear yourself, and make the announcement. But let's take a look at the action of the quarterback. See what we think about that. And let's talk through the rules of encroachment, false start, and then philosophy, and how we might want to handle these plays if it happens in our game. First, from a rules perspective, Rule 716, following the ready for play and after the snapper has placed his hands on the ball, encroachment occurs if any other player breaks the plane of the neutral zone. So we have that here. The defensive players do break the plane of the neutral zone, so they fit the definition of encroachment. Now let's take a look at false start, 717. After the ball is ready for play and before the snap begins, no false start shall be made by any A player. It is a false start if A, a shift or feigned charge simulates action at the snap, B, any act is clearly intended to cause B to encroach. And C, any A player on the end of his line between the snapper and the player on the end of the line, after having placed hands on or near the ground, moves his hands or makes any quick movement. So those are the three aspects we're looking at from a false start, and I think you can put the actions of the quarterback in the A category, a shift or feign charge simulating the action at the snap, and potentially B in an act that is clearly intended to cause B to encroach. Now, from an intent standpoint, does he intend to give them offsides? No, but I think he just leaves too early and is simulating the start of the play. So I think this falls under the category of a false start. But then let's look at Rule 718 that says if a false start causes B to encroach, only the false start will be penalized. So if we have a false start that causes an encroachment, like I think we do here, then we would penalize for the false start only. So this is going to have to be referee picking up this movement by the quarterback and then having the discussion with the line of scrimmage officials about the timing and which happened first. And if we can't figure it out, if it's so bang bang, then put it on the offense on a play like this. Okay. That's what the rule intends. And from a philosophy standpoint, if they're simulating the start of the play, we should put it on the offense. Don't pin the defense on this one. So one we need to have a conversation about so we can get it correct. Okay, that will do it for Training Tape 6, last week of the regular season here. We've done an outstanding job of being flexible and patient. It's a really tough year for everybody, for officials, coaches, players, parents. You know, we're just trying to get through this season the best we can, and I really appreciate all of your diligence and your work to make this season what it was and really being ready to go with really little preparation and time. All of you were ready to go. So I'm really proud of all of you. Great job. Finish strong this week with the end of the regular season and then into the postseason. We'll have one more tape as we get into the postseason. So good luck this weekend. Have a great game. Stay safe and healthy.